Hello Tech Cadets, hello future officers, how are you? I hope you're doing fine. So welcome to this channel where we would be decoding things, maritime concepts that a cadet generally finds difficult to understand. But before I start, let me quote Michael Jordan, who once said, some people want things to happen, some people wish things to happen, and other people make things happen. So you have been some of those who have been that other people, and you have stepped into this channel to learn new things. So the first topic that we would be covering is what a deck cadet does on board ships. Yes, this is a very basic question which most of the deck cadets have very less idea what they have to do and why they are doing that thing on board ships. So let's begin our first topic for this channel, which is deck cadet work on board ships. Because deck cadets generally don't know, because they don't have any such of responsibilities on their shoulders, so they don't know what they have to do. They just walk around looking confused. So today we will be decoding that. So before jumping into what a deck cadet does, let's know who a deck cadet is. A deck cadet is generally a trainee deck officer. He is not an officer, but he is being trained to become a deck officer, where he'll be handling the ship's operation, he'll be handling the navigation, he'll be handling cargo operations and all. So he's getting trained for that. The ship is so big and so expensive. A person who is new to this field cannot be handed over this job. So he has to be trained. And that person who is getting trained to do that task is the deck cadet. Every officer that you are watching at on bridge, on ship, as a deck officer was once a deck cadet. So as I said, you are not an officer yet, but you are being trained to become one. So what deck cadet job is actually? Others are working, but deck cadet has two work. One is learning, one is working. Learning what a deck cadet learns: navigation, cargo, and safety. There's a wide range of things under these topics. Like in navigation, you will learn how to operate a bridge equipment. You will know how to follow the coal regs. You will learn how to apply coal regs in situations. You know how to know when some sort of pirate operations are there, what you need to do. You will be learning in this navigation. And honestly speaking, no one will come up and teach you. You have to take initiative and you have to learn. Likewise, cargo operations. What you do in cargo operation? You take care of the cargo. Is it properly being loaded? Is it properly being discharged? And during that process, is the ship safe? During port stays, when you are there, you will be checking the lines as well. So all of these things come under cargo operation. We'll be talking more about this. In safety, like when you are an officer, it is not that you will be just taking part of the navigation. No. The officer is not just taking part of the navigation, but he is also being given some of the safety equipment to take care of. For example, a third officer is in charge of the firefighting equipment and the life-saving equipment, which is FFA and LSA. And likewise, the second officer is in charge of the bridge equipment, maintenance, egg discharge updating, radar operation. All these things are being taken care by the second officer. And the third thing, chief officer. Chief officer is the overall in charge of the deck. So everything particularly comes under him. The cargo operation, the ship stability, blasting, deblasting is under the chief officer. And the captain, he's the master. He's like the owner of the ship. He has to take care of everything. So as I said, the deck officer is not just for navigation, but there are other tasks as well. The next thing that you have to do is working. Once you're learning as well, and side by side you're working. Working what? Maintenance, watches, and deck jobs. So this is just a brief idea. We'll jump into this. We'll be decoding this thing. As a cadet, you've got two categories. One is the watchkeeping and one is the deck work. One involves getting your boiler suits dirty, and one is a white collar job. That is the bridge navigation. That is the watchkeeping. So initially talking about the watchkeeping, what you have to do as a deck cadet on bridge is learn how to operate the equipment, not fiddle with it. Ask the duty officer what to do and how to do. Get yourself clarified, okay? How to maintain a lookout, as I said, lookout, how to report targets, how to identify targets. If you see a target, what is you look it into the radar and you can identify that this blip that I'm seeing on the radar is that particular target. So you need to learn this thing as well. Also on the bridge watch, you have to learn GMDSS. As I said, GMDSS is Global Maritime Distress Safety Signal, which includes equipment like VHF, I said VHF, MF, HF, SAT-C, Navtex. So you will be having these equipment, and I'm telling these are not all. There are other GMDSS equipment on board as well. So you will learn how to use this GMDS equipment. Now I'm emphasizing that you will learn. That means you will have to learn these things. You have to ask. No officer on the bridge will come up to you and tell you, okay, I'll teach you this. No. Very high chances are there that the officer will not ask you. You have to go and ask them. So you will be learning these things on the bridge, how to react in some sort of emergencies. If there is any of the equipment gives an alarm, what to do. All you will be learning the bridge duties. In fact, there's a logbook on the bridge. You'll also learn you'll have to learn how to fill in the logbook. Now the lookout, as I said, you need to know how to report a particular target, and initially as a cadet, you'll visually see a target, you'll report it to the duty officer. There's a particular way where you have to report. You just cannot tell that I see a target on my port side. No, you'll have to tell 4-point on port bow, closing. So this way the duty officer understands that which target he's talking about. Okay, there can be multiple targets, but now he knows, okay, he's talking about this target. Okay. So navigation monitoring. Navigation monitoring generally includes if the ship is going on the planned route or not. And if it is not going on the planned route, why? If there are chances that there's a planned route, you might deviate to some other route, not away from the route, because of some fishing traffic or some other reasons, some dangers which was not there initially when the route was planned, but now has come, and it is not that big of fuss. So you'll just divert your course and then you'll go to the original course. So you monitor that, you'll check whether your navigation equipments are working properly or not. That all comes under navigation monitoring. So now I've told you about the bridge watchkeeping. Now we'll be getting into the deck work. Deck work is maintenance job. A deck cadet generally carries out his watches with the chief officer. So as and when the watches gets complete, it comes down with the chief officer. They have toolbox meeting with the AB, or in maximum case the AB come onto the bridge before 0800 hours, and they discuss the job with the chief officer, and chief officer will tell the cadet, okay, this job is there for you. You have to go with this AB or this bosun and finish out the task. So you will be not sticking out for the entire day. He'll be telling you, the chief officer will be telling you from what time to what time you'll have to work, because there are MLC as well, rest hours convention, where you have to take proper rest. So maintenance, deck jobs, it is all discussed in the toolbox meeting. Cargo operations, we'll be discussing it in the further slides. But cargo operation is basically an task where a deck cadet is given the exposure of how cargo operation is being carried out and what all things are under stake for the cargo operation. It is not just that you have to take care of the cargo, but you also have to take care of whether the ship is safe and where is properly berthed. It is not moving out. So for that, you have to check the mooring lines as well during the cargo operations. So as I said, your responsibilities shift between sea days and port days, completely different routines. At sea, you will be having 4 hours of bridge watch, but whereas when you are at port, you will be doing 6 hours of port watches. The deck work. As I said, what all deck works a deck cadet does on board ship. Typical tasks: chipping and painting railings, hatch covers. A deck cadet, these tasks is generally done by the deck ABs, but you do this because you get to know how things work on ship, when you become a senior officer, you would know how things operate and what all things has to be done. So initially chipping and painting railings, hatch covers, you chip the rusted area which could be which could damage their ship's structure. Okay, painting railings, not just painting railings, you also paint other structures as well. After chipping, you paint with the you coated with the paint the area where you where you did chipping, and then hatch covers and all. This is basic overview. And then greasing winches, windlass, crane wires. These mechanical structures need regular maintenance and regular greasing, because if they are not properly greased, the friction would increase between these metallic structures and they might cause some damage. It might also lead to fire, because when there is no grease, they would rub, the metallic structure would rub against each other and they can generate a spark which could be dangerous. Checking lashing, securing equipment. As I said, this is all part of the cargo operation. This is for container ships. Okay, this is checking lashings, securing equipment. This is for container ships. During cargo operation, you check lashing. How to check the lashings? Which is, how do you know whether this this turnbuckle or the lashing rod is tight enough? What is the open and the close position of the twist locks? All of this you will be doing in the cargo operation. Deck cleaning, rust removal. This thing comes under chipping. Now you'll have either pneumatic chipping gun, you will be using either chipping hammer or rusty bus for rust removal. Decoded generally don't use rusty bus. They use the chipping hammer or the pneumatic tools. Also, during your cadetship, you will also be emphasized over why safety is the most important thing on board ship. When you are working with these equipment like the pneumatic chipping gun or any other thing, you will be wearing safety gear, you will be wearing glasses so that the small tiny metallic structure don't go into your eyes and damage your eyes. Next thing is the bridge watch duties. What a cadet does, okay, on the bridge, look out, watch for ships, lights, fishing boats, traffic, land, any danger. So as I said, lookout is not just standing and looking at the fishing boat, but lookout also means for ships, if there any ship which is going towards you, coming towards you dangerously. The light that I'm talking about is in the call reg, it is mentioned what type of vessel will have what type of lights. But there are also conditions like in as per the flags, you tell that you're running into danger, and the Morse code is did da. So once you're navigating a vessel on the bridge and then you see that there's a flashing light which is 2 short blasts followed by 1 long blast, you know, okay, this particular area is dangerous, so I have to avoid going into that area. This is identifying lights, fishing boats, that if there are any fishing boat around, generally mostly you find it in the South China Sea or Singapore Strait. You see these fishing boats or Yellow Sea as well. Then the traffic, land and any dangers around. Logbook entries. As I said, on the bridge you would not be just standing idle. You will be entering into the logbook. Record position. Every hour after, if you come on the bridge at 0400 hours, you will be filling it at 0500 hours, then 0600 hours, then 0700 hours, and at the end 0800 hours. The position, weather, course changes and traffic. You will also mention at what point you altered the course in the logbook. So all of these things you will be doing in the logbook entries. The next thing is navigation monitoring. What you have to do, you have to observe radar, AIS, ECDIS, see how codebreaks apply in real time. As I said, that bridge duties is not just standing on the bridge. You also have to learn how radar is being operated, identify the targets. AIS is a different tool, but it works in conjunction with the radar. Today we have AIS, ARPA, which is generally working with the AIS, that it gives the information whatever it is received in the AIS, it comes to the AIS ARPA. So you observe the radar, AIS, ECDIS. ECDIS is basically whether you check on the ECDIS whether you are not running into any sort of dangers. Yes, ECDIS gives alarm, but you also do it on your part. For example, if you're doing passage planning, the second officer would have mentioned that on this particular, when you pass this lighthouse, this is generally done when you're going towards the port. You have to carry out some reportings. So the second officer will mention that okay, this from this place you have to report on this channel to this VTS or pilot station. Also, there is a book known as movement book where you will be filling out each and every detail while approaching a port. It would not just start when the pilot is on board, but way ahead when you have filled your arrival checklist. Also, you have to learn how to fill in the checklist. There are multiple types of checklists like arrival checklist, departure checklist, steering gear checklist, restricted visibility checklist, working aloft checklist. So this is not your job, but once you complete your cadetship and you become an officer, this becomes a part of your job. Okay, and also remember, you are there to observe, assist, and learn, not make decision. The officer is still responsible for the bridge operation. Even though if you're there on the bridge, don't assume that I have the con. It is the officer on the watch who has the con, and he is the one responsible for taking the actions. Now I told you about cargo operation. Port days. Port days are very very hectic task because there would be stewards coming on board. You will be getting 6 hours of work and then 6 hours of rest. And also you, as a cadet, you will be excited to explore other countries as well. So you would sometimes just sacrifice your sleep just to roam around. But honestly speaking, cadets do get time to go on ashore and enjoy. But I'm talking in terms of work. What a cadet does, mooring operation. When you're approaching port or you're departing, you handle lines. It is not that you are handling the line, you assist in handling the lines. You assist with winches. As I said, assist. You're not the one in charge of the stations or anything. You just assist in the handling winches or lines. Okay, follow orders strictly. You are there to follow orders and also learn. But remember, if you think that this order, if I follow, is not safe, you can be assertive enough that, sir, or second or third, whichever officer is there, that I don't think that this is safe. Okay. Cargo operation. Now I've mentioned every type of ship. As if you are going on container ship, container lashing, if you're on tanker, tanker alleging, and then if you're on bulk carrier hatch work, all under supervision. You're not in charge of anything, but you have to learn, because when you become an officer, these things is all your task. Okay, so you are under supervision, not in charge. Draft and soundings. When you take off, when you come to the port, you're not just draft and sounding. I'll add one more thing. When you come to the port, the chief officer will ask you to tell what is the forward draft and what is the aft draft. Okay, so you should know how to read a draft. Okay, and you'll have to take soundings as well. It is not at port, it is also at sea that you take soundings. Okay, when the chief officer is blasting or deblasting, this thing is important. And also when you arrive port, the chief officer will have a theoretical, a computed density of that particular area, but he will also ask you to find out the density. So you use the hygrometer and you find out the density of that particular port, which you give to chief officer, and he'll do his own calculations. The gangway watch. Okay, so we follow the ISPS, International Ship and Port Security. For that we carry out the gangway watch. We make a log of who all visitors came on board ships, and we give them a card with the number. Okay, this is so that we can keep a log of how many people are on board and how many people have disembarked the ship. So all of this log visitors, maintain security, and follow ISPS procedures. So I said we follow ISPS, so we keep charge of how many stevedores are there also on board ships. So these things are being carried out in port. That's why ports are very hectic, because a lot of people are coming. Especially you'll have provisions on board ships. You'll have, in some ports there will be inspections. So like Singapore, Busan, where you'll get a lot of people coming on board ships, and you'll be working tirelessly on that particular ports. But some ports are very peaceful. Like I would like to mention Prince Rupert in Canada, a very peaceful port. Now, the biggest reality check what a cadet is generally thinking when he is told to do deck work, he thinks, I'm only doing chipping and painting. I'm doing nothing. But the unglamorous truth, as I have written, is the huge part of deck cadet life is deck maintenance. Okay, the huge part is the deck maintenance because he'll be as a third officer and as a second officer as well. You might have to deal with the deck maintenance, especially as third officer because hydrant are there, and then many more things are there that you have to maintain. So chipping, rust, preparing surfaces and painting, greasing, winches, windlass, hatch mechanisms, and routine checks, rubber packing, doors, ropes and wires. Why these things are a very huge part of a cadet's life? The reason is when he is promoted to an officer, he is not doing these things. But when such things comes, he's like I'm a third officer, and I have equipment known as fire hydrant, and the fire hydrant is a metallic structure, so it will it will have rust on it. So how do I deal with it? I'll learn how to deal with it by chipping rust. That is my training. Preparing surfaces. Now it is not just that I've done chipping, it is all over. It will come again on that particular hydrant. So what I do, not just chip, but now I'm preparing and making it smooth so that I can paint it. With coating hardener, and then on top of that I'll put one more layer. Now my equipment, that is hydrant, is safe, is in working condition and is not damaged. If my equipment is safe, if I have done my job properly, the ship is safe. Okay. Greasing winches, windlass, hatch mechanism. So all these things play an important role when you become a third officer and second officer, a chief officer. Because if you have zero idea about these things, and when you go on board ship as an officer or a second officer, and because you are an officer, people look up to you that he knows. Specifically at the post of a chief officer or a master, I'm going to it, but I'm telling you, when you reach at that position, the deck ratings, the deck cadet which is under you will look up to you. And if you have not trained yourself well during your cadetship, you'll have zero idea about how to do things. And with that, you'll lose your image that this particular officer knows nothing. So all of these things is a part of your training. Now we'll be talking about routine checks, rubber packing, doors, ropes and wire. Why is this thing done? Because as an officer, you'll also have some things into your job list, like your weekly test, your monthly test, your 3-monthly test, your 6-monthly test. All of these things comes under you. So this is just to bring you in the habit of checking things on a regular basis, and these things play an important role, the routine checks. And generally cadets are like, I'm only doing chipping and painting. But that's not the case, my friend. It is, if that's your mindset, you are missing the point. Pay attention. Now understand corrosion, paint, selection, maintenance, planning. Later as an officer, you will be supervising this work and not doing it. As I said, you will be supervising, you will not do it. For which surface, which paint is necessary, you should know this. And when will you know this? When you are a cadet, right? How do you carry out maintenance in a hydrant? You should know this. You have to learn this. Safety drills. What is safety drills? Their ship is a safe place, but there can be emergencies like fire, or there's some other collision or elision. So there could be emergencies on board ship. So on board ship, we just don't wait for the situations to come. We simulate it. That simulation is known as safety drill. So what all types of safety drills can be there? Fire drills, abandoned ship drills, enclosed space drills, oil spill drill. Fire drill is the simulation, as I said, as it is reading out. Fire drill is the simulation when there's a fire on board. So what they do is they'll just, for example, they'll tell you, for example, there's a fire in this cargo hold number 2. So what action will you take? So in that particular scenario during drills, what you have to do is know your responsibility, what is your job in that particular drill, Okay, it could generally cadets have assist as required. Know your lifeboat. Go through the master list and what tasks it is, what tasks are under your belt, and during fire drills, learn how to don the SCBA set. Even if it is not fire drill, ask the third officer how to don the SCBA set, because there's a specific time period where you have to fill. You'll have to wear don the SCBA set, not more than that. Okay. So you'll have to know fire hoses, extinguishers, EBDs, all of these things. You'll be trained on the EBDs as well. Okay, there'll be a dummy EBD on board ship which will be shown for training purposes. Then there's abandoned ship drill. Okay, where you will have to learn how to don life jacket. Okay, lifeboat launching, lifeguard launching, and also immersion suit. How do you wear immersion suit? It all comes under abandoned ship drill. What all alarms are also, how do you identify which alarm is for fire drill, which alarm is for abandoned ship drill, which is for enclosed space. You'll get acquainted to these things as and when time passes by. Enclosed space entry. What is the entry procedure and gas detection system? Check whether the atmosphere is safe to go in, and the SCBA self-contained breathing apparatus. So as I've mentioned, these things are generally on all the ships. This oil spill is for tankers, not just for tankers, but for every type of ship. Reason being that every ship is carrying fuel, and letting it out into the sea is not supported or should be avoided. So in case of oil spill, what will be your response procedures? Okay, what is SOPEP? SOPEP, as you know, shipboard oil pollution emergency plan. Okay, where is your SOPEP locker? You should know this. Your role: every week report to muster station on time. Not every week, it is generally every time. Whenever there is a muster on board ship, when they are carrying out drill, report on time. Okay, play assigned role as per the master list. You are a cadet, it is generally assist as required, and check equipment, extinguisher, pyrotechnics, whatever equipment are being used on that for that drill. Don't check, but assess the officer who is in charge of that. That is the third officer, will be taking care of these things. Okay. This is the second last thing. I'll be telling one more thing. What is the paperwork and TRB? This is the most boring part. Okay. Changing the fire plan, as third mate tells, okay, can you please change the fire plan, update the muster list around the ship's accommodation. All of this comes under the paperwork part. And then there's TRB, that is training record book. You'll have to fill in that as well, because if you don't fill that, you cannot give your exams for further off for next rank, for that is second mate's exam. So you'll have to fill in the training record book. Okay, so keep your training record book updated with manual entries, familiarization tasks, safety drills with date, equipment used on board ship. But most importantly, there is the first page, as in India, the first page that you have to fill where this photo is there. Your photo has to be affixed. Then master's comment, chief officer's comment, your certificates, a bridge steering certificate, steering record, bridge record. All of these things has to be maintained, and all the task has to be ticked in the TRB that you have done this task. Okay, and you have to take master's comment every month. If you don't do that, you cannot give your exams. And should be detailed, signed on time, genuine, and not copy paste garbage. It is not that if there's two cadets, I am about to complete my cadetship, and this other cadet who is just starting off his cadetship, it is not that he should take and copy mine. He should learn on his part and then make mistakes and learn from his part as well. Because I've done some mistake as a cadet, you too carry out some mistakes and learn it. Okay. Help with checklist, deck logs, safety meeting minutes proves you were trained, not just present. Okay, so you have to be trained. It is not that the safety meetings and just standing like this, knowing nothing. And captain asks, okay, how do you, what all tests are carried out board in SCBA, and you have no idea. So you have to be attentive, you have to listen, not just be present. Okay, and what all checklist that I've told, help with checklist is the arrival checklist, departure checklist, all of these things, restricted visibility checklist, okay, this hot work checklist, help with these things because next rank you might have to deal with these things. Deck logs, as I said, a movement book when you arrive or depart from port that you have to fill. Okay, how to if you have done some mistake, how do you correct it? Don't use whitener. If you done some mistake, strike it off and sign that this is me who has done this mistake. Okay, safety meeting minutes. Be attentive in the safety meeting. Proves you are trained, not just present. The most important thing for a cadet, I believe, is to learn the job of his next rank, that is the third officer. I have mentioned all of these things, okay, and I'm telling that these things are not constant. It might change or it might differ from ship to ship. Whatever I've told is right, but you might experience something different. But you have to follow these guidelines. And as a cadet, you have to learn your next rank, the third officer task, what he does on the bridge watch. If you get an opportunity to be on the watch with the third officer, how is he absorbing the situation? How is he reacting? You have to learn this because you will complete your cadetship and you will complete your exams. But if you don't learn your third officer's task and when you go on board ship as a third mate and you don't know your job, things will not be very good with you. Okay, so take care of that. So the final word, Decoded life isn't just Instagram worthy. It is not social media and all. It is real. It is hard work, long hours, constant work. Things where things are not as easy as it is shown on social media, and it is not as cool as that. You'll have to take steps to be and prove yourself. Okay, that is how you'll earn respect on board ships. And for cadets who want to be proficient enough on board ship, the Merchant Navy Decoded has launched Deck Cadet package, and this is done by Captain Arun Gupta, who is a master mariner and he has been sailing for more than 40 years and with tons of experience. He is taking classes. There are other captains as well. So if you think that you need to be more strong technically before going on board ship, or you need to know more things in your pre-sea, this package is for you. And you can go take trial on merchantnavydecoded.com. First and foremost, these are our social media handles. If you like the video, please do follow us on Instagram, on YouTube, and do follow us, join this Deck Officers Decoded, where we do share daily quizzes and facts which is useful for you as a deck cadet. So this is all what a deck cadet should do. If you want notes, whatever I have taken, you can join this Telegram group. I'll be sharing these notes into the group. And if you think there's something else that has to be added, please mention in the comment section. Thank you for listening me patiently. Have a good day ahead.